Number one biggest, most common mistake is the teams are not following up on the leads. We did a beta test on an AI call responder. It had a 78% pickup rate. The sales team, the actual human beings that were calling these leads, had a 10% pickup rate.
That's insane.
It certainly beats going out and leaflet dropping.
I want us to ask something about funnels and leads, because I know that's really one of your biggest areas of expertise, right? Estate agents are now starting to embrace building funnels, spending ads to drive traffic to the funnel, but they're not getting the results that they should be. And I want to get from your perspective, I know you've done for hundreds of agents, helping them build the funnels, helping them build the lead conversion systems. Just talk me through a bit of why that's happening with those agents and what, most important, what they can do about it.
Yeah, really, really good question. I tell you what, so straight off the bat, the number one biggest, most common mistake that I find goes on in agencies when they've started running their ads, spending money on online ads, driving traffic to funnels and getting prospects on their database, right? Number one biggest, most common mistake is the teams are not following up on the leads. They're just not calling the leads. And it really, really interests me because, as a business owner, not only are you spending money on ads, it might be £10 a day to drive traffic to that funnel, it might be a, download a guide or an online valuation tool or whatever it might be. They've also got to pay ads managers and all of that sort of stuff. They miss the fact that to make something happen with those leads, there has to be a sales system. But yeah, one of the most common problems is the team not calling them.
Why is that? Why is there not that sales conversion system to help that process run smoothly and get the results they need to?
From experience, it's something new. It's something new. It's something different. So when I first implemented funnels within the business, now bear in mind at this stage, this is about 6 years ago. I was an experienced estate agent of about 13 years. I was used to door knocking, leafleting, calling online valuation tool leads, and vow chasing, and those sorts of methods, right? The methods you expect, traditional methods to generate instructions. When we started implementing funnels, we turned 4 on overnight. I had 180 leads in my inbox, and it was investors downloading an investor guide, it was landlords downloading a compliance guide, it was different things. It was actually a realization at that moment in time that number one big challenge, 180 leads in a week, and what the hell is happening? I mean, turn the funnels off, I can't cope. Obviously we didn't, but number two, what am I going to offer these people?
4 different conversations.
So when you have your sales team that are, your negotiators, your listers that are used to just booking valuations and offering valuations, and that's their main hook, right? I mean, agents have been offering valuations since the 60s, 50s, I don't even know when, but before time. All of a sudden you've got different ways of attracting, different lead magnets, different ways of attracting people into your business, onto your database. A free valuation isn't always going to work. So I think a lot of the time it's, calling people to do what, to say what, to offer them what am I going to do with them? And it's too easy to just go, I'm just going to busy myself with this. And it's
a really good point. And actually what you said there, you've got 4 ultimately different avatars, right?
Yes.
You want to deal with buy-to-let investors, and suddenly you're speaking to a probate because you've got a probate funnel running, whatever it might be. So I remember you saying to me once, you spent, I think it was a year ago, you spent something like $3,500 on Facebook ads and Insta ads. I think you generated something like 85 appointments in your diary. I think there was a silly amount of leads. So when an agent can't cope like you were, obviously AI now is a good resource. Talk me through how can agents start to embrace AI in that sales system?
Yeah, I mean, AI for me supports the sales team function. I think AI is great for call setting, but you still need somebody to then have a higher level conversation to be able to close and convert. But I think it's about lead response, most importantly. So, and here's the thing, so you turn on a funnel and you get online valuation tool leads in, right? Unless you call them quickly, instantly, the older they get, the colder they are, you miss the boat. And the serious ones, I know they say that a lot of them take a few months before they come on the market and stuff, and you've got to nurture. But again, the serious ones generally have already chosen, already had other vows booked in, already chosen other agents, stuff like that. So it's about speed to lead. And one of the things that AI is great at is calling them instantly. We actually have, so one of our sales teams in one of our companies, we've tracked this, we did a beta test on an AI call responder. And during the beta testing stage, it had a 78% pickup rate.
Wow.
The sales team, the actual human beings that were calling these leads had a 10% pickup rate.
That's insane. That's insane.
The only difference is AI calls just like that. Humans take 24 hours, 48 hours a week, whatever it is. And lack of follow-up and lack of repeat trying. And
but you know what? That's so interesting, because even, we know this, a lot of agents will say online vows, they're just curious, right? And that might be the case. We still nurture them. However, the key there is about speed of response, because I do an online, I hear from 2 agents, and I say to the 2 agents, no, I'm just curious. I looked at it, just keep me on your mailing list. But then I don't hear from your agency for 6 days because I missed it, I didn't have the process. When I am ready, I'm not using you. No. So I think they don't even bother to call me back when I put an online inquiry in.
There is that, although I'd also say though, a lot of the leads don't want to call at that stage because it is just an online inquiry, so they haven't actually asked for a call back a lot of the time. But then I think what I would be more focused on is the quality of the conversation. That's what is memorable. Let's say you don't call an online Valtor lead for a week, right? You finally get hold of them and they go, I don't remember. Oh, I was just curious. You go, oh, okay, no worries. All right, I'll leave you to it then. Yeah. That's not a very memorable interaction. No. Right? No. You actually still need to have the right script structure, ask the right questions. Again, it's about starting a relationship. Correct. Right? It's about engaging with a human being and actually finding out what drove the curiosity. Yeah. Right? Exactly that. That's what's memorable. And I think if you're going to have any chance of nurturing that lead, that's how it's got to start. But the quicker you can get to that lead and have the right sales system in place.
That's the absolute gold there.
One of the things that I've built over the years is having sales systems for each different avatar, and it's having different services and offers. It's having different touch points for engagement, better quality content, use of webinars, all sorts of things for my database to really get stuck into, and then creating different appointment types to lead to different services and different revenue streams, that sort of thing. And when it clicks. One of the most incredible things you can ever do in your business.
Really game changer for you.
It certainly beats going out and leaflet dropping.
Yeah, absolutely. And sending out 10,000, getting 4 phone calls. What do you say though to some estate agents that have been very successful? They've been doing it one way for 40 years, traditional, and it's worked. But now they're like, I don't know what to do, I don't know where to start. And you know what, I don't know if it would work for us. I'm sure you hear that a lot. What advice would you give them? How would you tackle that?
Yeah, I think for me, I would never advise somebody to stop doing what works for them, first and foremost. But I think what they need to understand is what are the bits that are actually working. If they stripped it back and found that actually leaflets are only getting a handful of leads, and a lot of their business comes from reputational word of mouth, boards, if they can really get to a point of understanding all the key sources and what makes them successful and where it really does come from, then I would always encourage them to keep doing what works, right? A lot of agencies I work with that I coach, when it comes to funnel marketing, lead conversion, they're good businesses. They're not broken businesses. They're good businesses. They're doing decent levels, but they have an appetite for more. They know there's more out there. They know there's an opportunity. They know that,
they've got a growth mindset.
And I think the modern methods of marketing, funnel marketing, proper lead conversion systems, getting a proper sales team in place, whatever that looks like, it's that next level. It's that next step. It's about taking what you've got that's already great and making it even better.
It's a really fair point. And look, you look at it, you made a really good point, right? If something's working, still do it. But it doesn't mean you then don't open and embrace. Yes. Because then you get the blockbusters of this world. Exactly. HMV and all the other disasters because they were successful but didn't embrace the change. Netflix, Uber and many others, took that market.
I think as well, when you start building up your authority online, and there's agents that are going to be streets ahead, and if you haven't started embracing that yet, there will come a point in time where you're so behind the curve. It's going to be harder to catch up.
For people that haven't done it, I've heard feedback of, I don't like to be on camera, I'm not very good at it. I'm sure you've heard that many times. What's your advice? If we're going to drive ads to a funnel, part of it is you've got to be on film. How do you help someone have a different mindset when it comes to that?
A lot of the way that I help people and help agents and help them overcome their fears and their inhibitions and things like that is tell my own story, because I think it's powerful. It's paramount. I mean, I was 2019, never did video, didn't really know anything about funnel marketing and a lot of the different types of business that we're doing now off the back of implementing it. I didn't really know about most of that stuff.
Person.
So I was that person that basically one day got thrown into doing a landlord seminar, and I was like, oh, okay. Right, okay. And it's one of those moments, isn't it? You either go, no, not for me, I'm just going to stay doing what I always do and be in my comfort zone. Or I'm going to be willing to say yes and see where it takes me.
And learn.
I generally tell my stories, and I talk about my first ever ad video, how shocking it was. I've got the examples.
I've seen it. It's horrendous.
It's awful, and I still cringe every time I watch it. But it's powerful to show people, look, you're looking at my 6 years down the line, really, really well edited. We've got a great video team, really polished, really, whatever. But 6 years ago, look at where I was, and that still worked, and that got me out there.
It's very inspiring, actually.
Yeah, so that would be the advice. The advice is, look, there's nothing you can't do. Get over it. And just, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it definitely is so powerful. I would, I think that's where it's got to start. But I would certainly share my story and show them that actually we all start there.
As an owner, right, it's great advice to help, because I know a lot of owners struggle with that, of how do we get our team on board with that. But I think you're right, the personal story of where you failed in the past, but being open to, push through that barrier and then have the success you now have.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great advice.
I still, as a public speaker, I still go red. I still have the nerves, I still have the things,
Many
but
do.
It's, and it shows. My first few webinars, I wouldn't have my camera on.
Really?
It's little things like that throughout my journey that, it's looking back, you think,
But see how you've come, that's great.
But it's all part of the process.
Absolutely.